To protect the last defensive barrier, you have to be able to keep your cool. And the libero, emperor of the last bastions, has long been the critical link in the chain, indispensable to any structured and airtight defense. It is clear that not everyone is able to react swiftly to compensate for the dazzling bursts of Mbappe or Haaland, to ensure interceptions in these small spaces on the edge of the area, and, of course, to improve the first recovery with accuracy and verticality. Although it has been largely overlooked, this special position remains a major influence on the tactical construction of modern defenses. Let's have a look back at how liberos have left their mark on the game. It is often said that a central hinge must be complementary. In the collective imagination, it is appropriate to associate a stopper profile, rough in duels and hard on the man, with a partner in charge of the first recovery and stabilization of the defense. This equitable sharing of tasks is the result of a long reflection on the structuring of defenses. After decades of totally unbalanced forward play, including the legendary attacking pyramids, football gradually stabilized under the influence of the first so-called defensive tactical schemes. Karl Rappan's Swiss lock and later Helenio Herrera's Italian catenaccio took the strong step of building denser defensive lines, respectively adding a player to their hinge. A first line of stoppers is built, and a last line of defense is inserted at the back, the one who will become the libero, in charge of covering and locking, while organizing and directing his teammates in the defense. Facing the WM of Herbert Chapman, Karl Rappan was the first tactician to opt for a four-man defense. Later, his Italian counterpart would add a fifth man. The aim was clear: more legs to protect the area, guaranteeing a more secure defensive base. At first, a simple locker, the profession then became a key link between the lines, managing the first relaunch. The first playmaker in the history of football, the libero in the 1940s, took advantage of his position on the pitch to direct attacks on the counterattack and enable teams to get the ball out of risky areas effectively and operate in transition. So from this starting lineup, a more complete position had to be built, which changed the nature of the game forever. The name libero comes from the freedom given to the position in marking. In the Italian catenaccio, the libero is the only link in the defense freed from the task of individual marking. He can therefore move around as he pleases. And this is what the monumental Franz Beckenbauer understood. As a member of the West German national team, winner of Euro 72 and the 74 World Cup, Beckenbauer presented the world with a masterclass in the position. A formidable anticipator in the last line of defense, he is also an elusive relauncher, capable of breaking up the first lines of pressure with effective dribbles or guided passes. He projects himself into all areas of the pitch and acts as a real playmaker, a number 10 at the forefront of the game. The German makes the libero the centerpiece of a formidable team on the international stage. So it is hard to understand how such an essential position could have vanished into history. Firstly, the position came up against the gradual emergence of permutation systems of play. The total football of Rinus Michel and his interchangeable players was the first system to defeat the clinical catenaccio of Helenio Herrera. The chaos caused by the impossibility of relying on individual marking meant that the libero was deprived of the freedom he deserved. Later, Arrigo Sacchi sounded the death knell for the catenaccio by proposing the arrival of the line and zone defense. Goodbye to the free electron. Yes, but the libero, more than a name, represents a real philosophy of the game. It is important to understand that beyond his position on the field, the work done by this last offender has become indispensable to the development of the game. To ensure the link between defense and midfield, to protect the goalkeeper from long balls in the last curtain, and to get out of the opposing pressing by passing or dribbling, so many tasks that a balanced and ambitious team cannot decently do without. It was therefore necessary to integrate them into the 11 in another way. The disappearance of the libero means the breakdown of his influence within the team. Firstly, the central hinges have more complementary pairs. The task of covering and managing the ball has been shared across the whole defense, and the fullbacks have seen their influence in building the game increase. Then, from 1992 and the ban on taking back passes by hand, the keepers developed their skills on foot. By gradually taking over the anticipation of deep balls, they compensated for the absence of the liberos by entering the air known as sweeper-keeper. It's all in the name, isn't it? So who should be given the most complex tasks of the liberos? That of organizing the link between the lines, breaking up the opposing pressure, in a nutshell, being a playmaker at the back. With the disappearance of the libero, the first midfield relay players appeared. In England, these deep-lying playmakers take charge of the team's cohesion. by sometimes inserting themselves into the defensive line at the restart, and by allowing the attacking players to project themselves through progressive passes. These eras of the libero also embody the elegance of a football that is evolving towards more complexity and variation. Xavi, Verratti, Busquets, Kimmich, Rodri, Jorginho. So many names that embody the intelligence of team blocks and the management of strong and weak moments. In today's fast-paced football, managing the pace of the game has become essential to eradicating counter-pressing and controlling transitions. If the liberos were the pioneers in this field, it seems obvious today to understand that most of the battles are played in midfield and no longer in the last defensive third. The extinction of the libero marks the birth of the modern midfielder, the guarantor of elegance and balance. And if the original and inalienable freedom has been lost along the way, it is also appropriate to think that today, it is through the intelligence of the game that this freedom is gained. Thank you for watching our video. If you liked it, don't hesitate to talk about our channel around you, to like, share, and subscribe. See you soon for a new video. Ciao!